All right, as you can see, we are really concerned now about trying to take all of our data and find that middle, and also see how big the spread of data is. Is our cluster of data close together? Is it far apart? Is it all skewed to the left or all skewed to the right, or just randomly placed? So we're always trying to focus on where's that data, where's the middle of it. Let's look at it in a different way. This is called measures of deviation. This is lesson 4 if you're looking in the book. So again, we're going to go back to this idea of a median, but we're going to add another thing called an interquartile range and go back and talk about the range, and then we're going to make a box and whisker. There are 4 of these, so we're going to do this with each one of them. This one we've already done before. As you recall, we had said the middle of this data happens to be right here. In fact, I'm just going to make a little line there just to show that that is the middle. The median is 84. Let's skip to the range. We had talked about range before, and we can label range on our number line simply by doing this. There are no outliers. So there's our range from 64 to 100. Middle's 84. But now what are we talking about, this interquartile range? Well, you know the word quarter means a fourth of something. So think of this as quarters. Right now it's divided up into half, the top half and the bottom half. The top half did well on the test, the bottom half didn't do so well on the test. So now I want to divide it up into even smaller categories. How about the top 25%? Well, if you have 20 in a class, how many would be 25% of 20? Well, of course, that would be 5 kids. So let's count out 5. So there's 1, and let's do it in red so we can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we would say that these top 5 are 1/4 of the class. And then in another color, we could do the bottom 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? What do I do now that 68% and 94 also have other X's there, and those X's means, well, is my 94 part of the top 25% or the middle 25%? So that's obviously an interesting question, but I wouldn't worry about that too much. For our purposes, just think of it as 25%, and I'm just going to draw a line to show where this ends up, and I'm going to say right here is where it ends, and I can say in that range there's 25%. From 84 to 94 there's 25%, and from, well, this is even lower, from 64 to 68 there's 25%. Now you notice that I have what are called quartiles. And the one in the middle, it has a special name called the median. And you notice that I'm drawing something, okay? This is called a box and whisker chart because I'm going to make a box. In fact, I'm making it right on top of my data. Now, normally you make it separate from your data, but for right now, it's totally fine to just draw it right on top of the data. So there's my box. This box means 50% or half of my kids fell in the middle here someplace, from 68 to 94. 25% above it, 25% below it. The whiskers are simply showing the bottom 25% and the top 25%. Okay? So the simple meaning of this, and all you need to know for right now, is the fact that it's divided up into quarters. It's based on finding the median, and then, in a sense, the median of the median, so that it's half of the half, so that I have 4 equal quarters. And I draw a box around the middle half, and I draw little whiskers to show the upper and the lower. Right, let's look at some new data, and we're going to do the exact same thing, but I'm not going to talk through it quite as in detail. This next one is comparing 2 different classes. And you see there's 24 kids and 25 kids, so they're not exactly the same size, but they're close. We found in the 24, if I count over 12, that this would be the middle. And if I divide the top half in half, this would be about 75%. And if I divide the bottom half, this would be the lower 25%. And if I draw a box around that, that shows me my middle half. And then if I draw a whisker to my highest score and a whisker all the way down there. Now that's going off my screen, so you have to just imagine it goes all the way down below 60. All right, this one actually starts at 60, so a little bit higher, and the top score is the same. The bottom score is higher, the top score is the same. The middle, now you notice the middle in this class is 65. The middle in the other class was 67. So this class did better. And then the lower half is right here. And then right here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. My little dot moved over on me. Let's see, it's 6. Yeah, it's right. Yeah, it's right between those, isn't it? Okay, so there is my box here. And my whisker goes from here all the way over to here. There we go. There's my whisker. So Mrs. Kwai's class did better than Mr. Sanson's class, but not that much better. Let's look at the next one, which is not students. This, well, maybe it is. Or it's somebody that they wanted to know, did they have a better mood if they're outdoors or indoors? And I had a slightly different number of responses in each. But essentially, you see that the middle in the first is at 8. The middle in the second is at 5. So that immediately tells you that the indoor group had a lower mood or a worse mood, and the outdoor group had a better mood just by looking at the median score. But let's draw our box. So the top, where that would be about 75% would be there, and the bottom, that would be 25% there. There's my box. Let's do the same for the other. 75% there, 25% there. There's my box. So this is what's really important. If I overlapped one on top of the other, it would be very obvious that the indoor group had much lower rating as far as their mood. And then, of course, we need to know what is the range from 8 down to 0, and this is from 10. And we did have this, oh, I guess there is one down there at 0, isn't there? A few kids down there. So I don't know if we could consider them outliers or not, but you notice that most of them are in that middle group from 6 to 9, at least half of them. And then in that lower 25%, they tend to be pretty close to that. So are you getting the picture? Your data should make a picture in your mind when you look at it. It's not just numbers. One last one. All right, Olympics. Here's some data, and these are number of medals. Well, we noticed that we had one, we can't call him an outlier, but this is some person who really did well. 14 gold medals. And unfortunately, there were 2 people that got no gold medals. So that would be my range from none up to 14. If I find the middle of my data, that would be 4 medals. The top 25 got from 6 to 14 medals. The middle half got from 1 to 6 medals. There's my middle half. Half of the participants, half of the Olympians got from 1 to 6 medals. My whisker on the low side is pretty short. My whisker on the high side is very long. And that means something. That means that there are some people who went way above and beyond everybody else. Or I could say, maybe it is an outlier. Maybe that person was cheating. Maybe they were taking some kind of drugs or steroids that would make them win more often than everybody else. And we'd have to look at that person and say, should they have gotten 14 medals? Is there something suspicious going on? That's what statistics does for us. It gives us the truth, hopefully.